mentioned, there are announcements, that are audio announcements that are going to play on the trains and in stations, and those will be released to the press as well for folks to hear. Go ahead.
All right, now let's go to Andrew Sipp, WNBC.
Since the Chancellor mentioned that when kids used to ride on buses, there were physical changes made to the buses to discourage that behavior, have you done anything to the trains to make it more difficult to subway surf, and how soon will that initiative take place?
So we're looking at engineering options, right? We don't want to make, obviously, the train less safe for our crews, for example. They need to get up and around the train, so we're looking at that. Others have said, for example, should we be locking doors? That brings its own, risks, so we're weighing that. But I think, again, today, what we're seeing is an amazing group of young people to say the message is important peer-to-peer. So engineering we'll continue to look at, but today is a good day on messaging.
Thank you. For Mr. Lieber, you talked about the tech companies removing videos. Who's going to make these alternate videos or safety videos like this that you'd like to see replace those?
I think the tech companies themselves have so far evidenced a willingness to develop content with us and also to accept content that we're developing. I just want to acknowledge that New York and NYC Tech is represented today by Julie Samuels, who's the trade association leader. And this has been a partnership that started out with us saying to them, you got to do something, because all of a sudden, as the mayor has highlighted again and again and again, young people are being subjected to massive doses of video and material that was glorifying this, and they actually stepped up. They developed algorithms to weed it out, and they are working with us to take it down. And now, as I said, we're actually doing content to discourage subway surfing. That's a big step, and we appreciate the cooperation of the tech industry.
On this side, you got Anthony Carlo from Channel 7 Eyewitness.
Chairman Lieber, thank you so much. Could you go into a little bit more to add context on the number of people spotted riding on top of trains by MTA stats? We understand the number last year was as big as you'd ever seen at over 900.
I'm going to defer to Chief Kemper, but sure. Chief Kemper's NYPD officer, the mayor's NYPD officers, every day are posted at the stations, including those on the 7 line, which seem to attract this behavior. And they're, as the mayor said, they're not only getting kids down, but they're escorting them home and having sit-downs with the parents. Chief Kemper.
So, as we mentioned, and as I mentioned myself, we said the safety of our youth is our top priority. And certainly, when looking at subway surfing and our deployment, a lot of our deployment is associated or surrounded by historic locations where subway surfers subway surf, where they like to do it. We're under the 7 line. This is one example. We have individuals in the NYPD monitoring social media. If conversations are had at subway safe surfing meetups, certainly we pivot immediately. Again, safety is our concern. I could talk about enforcement numbers. I said when I spoke that it is illegal, and if caught, you'll be arrested. So far this year, so from January 1st till present, there's been 88 individuals arrested for subway surfing in New York City. When comparing that 88, just to show you, how we prioritize this, last year, at the same time, there were 30. So it's 88 subway surfing arrests this year versus 30. That's an increase of 58, or if you want to get really granular and nerdy, 193.3% increase this year versus last year. And I'll say this, I'll end with this, this will continue. And let me say this also very quickly. Enforcement is important. That's one component of our strategy to eliminate and end subway surfing. It's the education, it's the outreach, and that's what we're here today to really highlight. Thank you.
All right, we have time for one more on topic. Evan Simcoe, the Norris back there from the Daily News.
Hey, Jenna, good morning. You had mentioned that there was some encouragement of the tech companies to spool up the algorithms to start taking down some of these videos. I know this is something that's been going on. I think the last time you and I spoke about it was in March. So tell me a little bit about what it took to get them to the table and what that encouragement was.
I think, and I want to credit the mayor, who really should take credit for this. The mayor spoke up in no uncertain terms. The MTA chair has has a voice, but there's nothing like the mayor of New York City. And the mayor spoke out about how wrong it was that this kind of material was being allowed to circulate in such large quantities on social media. Mayor?
Yeah, I think there's a combination. You know, we woke up overnight and realized we have this new entity in our lives that it is impacting our children, and there has not been a real national approach of how we manage social media on so many different levels. And we have elevated this conversation. Commissioner Vassan for Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, the summit he did a few months ago, and really zeroing in and communicating with the social media companies. Let's not kid ourselves. These guys are masters. They know how to use algorithms to attract you to different things. There's a reason when you cough, you start getting cough syrup ads. There's a reason for that. There's a reason when you yell at your spouse, you start getting divorce lawyers popping up on your phone. These guys know what they're doing. And if we can use social media to help, we cannot continue to allow it to harm. And we can't say, well, we're just producing a product. No, these are our children, and they're the children of social media designers. A child that's impacted by the negative action on social media is something we have to address. We've leaned into it. We've communicated with them over and over and over again. And now you're seeing young people that are being part of this conversation. You could produce a good product without harming young people in the future, and even adults. When you look at some of the contents on social media, we have to be honest about it, and we have to address it. And what we did, and what we will continue to do as a city, we look at a problem, we dissect a problem, we identify each area and what role we are supposed to play to turn those problems around. And that is the hallmark of this administration. So before we leave, I think it's just imperative to bring in our council partner, Councilwoman Wong, who has been a real partner in this initiative. Councilwoman?
Thank you so much. Good morning. Thank you so much to the MTA president, as well as the mayor, the chancellor, the chief. It is a multifunctional, cross-level effort to make sure that our children are safe. There is no glamorous way to die, and there is nothing worth your life for a moment of fleeting fame on social media. And that is what Ride Inside, Stay Alive is about. And I want to give a shout out to all of the students from Arts and Design, because that is a reflection of this government. We do not have a mayor or a governor or an MTA president that says, I know what I'm doing, and I'm going to say from top down, this is how we're going to solve this problem. But they go directly to the students who are facing this issue on a daily basis to say, you come to our table, and we're going to figure out from your voice of exactly how to reach these young minds who are starving for attention, who are starving for affirmation, validation that says you are enough and you are special. And that is what we are going to do to continue to make sure that our students stay alive. So thank you so much to the students, and we're going to continue to make sure, as an effort with the MTA as well as NYPD and all of the city agencies, the DYCD commissioner is here to make sure that our students have these arts programming, that the students have athletic programming, that the students have tech programming, or whatever it is that they desire after school. So that way, once they leave their school building, they're not trying to climb up on top of the subway, but they're looking to be with each other to make sure that there is so much more for their future in this amazing city that has to offer. So thank you so much for being here, and we're going to continue to make sure that our students are safe. Thank you.